All right, so here we are, another day, another webinar for you guys. In this particular webinar, what we are trying to, look at is how global B schools can be the right fit for you. And, if there is one thing that has definitely happened in the last few years, it is the world around us becoming truly global. Boundaries are fading away with each passing day, and more companies are looking for ways to go global. They're not just thinking of India or any other particular country for that matter, but they're trying to set up their operations and businesses everywhere. And in such a dynamic world, managers who are going to be part of such companies need to also have a global bent. And to help creating these managers, there is a B school in India that has been helping students for a decade now. We are talking about SDA Bocconi Asia Center, a B school situated at the heart of Mumbai. Today, we have the Managing Director of SDA Bocconi Asia Center, Alessandro Giuliani, and Career Development Services and Corporate Relations Head, Mr. Sandeep Ranjan, in this webinar. They are going to give us insights on how a global B school is the need of the hour and how can you maximize your potential. They will talk about their trends that are happening right now, skills and qualities companies are looking for in managers for tomorrow. Thank you very much, Sandeep and Alessandro, for joining us today. Why don't we start this session by, very short descriptions about these two gentlemen that I have with me today. Alessandro, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. And good evening, everybody. This is my name is Alessandro. Be careful, I'm Italian, not
Alessandro.
Spanish. Alessandro Giuliani, and yes, I've been managing the SDA Bocconi Asia Center for the last 10 years. Actually, it was just a few days back, our 10th birthday, for which we're very proud. Before that, I've been working in France, in Spain, in Italy, in Hong Kong, and in India for the last 10 years.
Right. A very happy birthday to SDA Bocconi Asia Center, Alessandro, and my apologies for the mistake in the naming you. Sandeep.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sandeep Ranjan. I've been heading placements and corporate relations at SDA Bocconi Asia Center for 1.5 years now. And I have almost 19 years of experience into corporate sector and B school placements. I've worked in some of the leading recruitment consulting and staffing firms in India. And the second part of my career have been into B school placements, right from Indian School of Business, Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon, School of Inspired Leadership, Gurgaon, and then currently in my role with SDA Bocconi Asia Center.
Right, lovely. So by the profiles of these two speakers, you might have understood that we are going to talk about academics and we are going to talk about placements and how the mix of these two can land you into the best kind of jobs and the best kind of dream companies that you aim for. To begin with, Alessandro and Sandeep, my first question is, when we talk about a global B school, what exactly do we mean? How does a B school situated in India become a global B school?
Well, we are fully part of SDA Bocconi School of Management, which is one of the top business schools in the world. The school itself celebrated 2 months back its 50th birthday and is ranked now #3 in Europe and in the top 5 in the world in many different areas. So we have been here for 10 years, but we are fully part of it. 85% of the faculty that teaches at our Mumbai campus is faculty coming directly from our main campus. One full semester, the one of specialization of our students is run in Milan. So we are fully part of it, and we are fully part of all the activities, the global activities of the main campus. Our students are part of the alumni, which is a 1.3 lakhs alumni across 200 different countries. We receive in our Mumbai campus a merge with our students, the students from a double degree from Bocconi Milano and NSEC Paris. We received the global MBAs from SIBS in China, from ESADE in Spain, from Canada, and so on. So we have really become a platform of global business here.
Right. Lovely. Sandeep, in your opinion, how does a B school become a global B school?
Yeah, so, as you started this session by stating that, everything today has become global. There are no boundaries. And that's how we define even a B school. The students need to be trained not only on the Indian scenario, but they need to be trained in the global scenario also. Absolutely. And SDA Bocconi as a platform provides that wonderful opportunity for the students, where they not only get an exposure of what is going on in India, but with our parent campus in Milan and the faculty coming from Milan, they spending one entire trimester in Milan. They get to understand the global mindset as well. So that's a perfect combination of a global scenario in a B school, which we call right now.
Absolutely. Alessandro, when we started this conversation, you talked about how, this is the 10th year that you have started operations in India, in Bombay. Looking back, how do you think things have changed for the B school that you're heading right now? And how does the future look for the institute from here?
Well, I must be sincere, things changed a lot. When we arrived, the name Bocconi in India was the country where the name Bocconi was the least known. Right. Especially because we come from a non-English speaking country, though all our teaching has been in English for the last 20 years. Right. So at the beginning, it was more of a question of promoting the school. The big shift in the past few years has been that we don't need that much to do that anymore, and it's rather students that come to us. That's a big shift. And likewise with the corporates. At the beginning, we had to test them. Then thanks to our very good students, I must say, and to the fact that we are also number 4 in the world for executive education. So we teach corporates and they have experienced that. Now I must say that things have become for us easier. It's a tougher selection of the students. So we are now shifting to a tougher selection of the students. Right. And especially on those soft skills that, every time we meet, I tell you about the soft skills. And so it's tough because we do interview all of them. So the change has been a little bit that, I must say. Then the acceptance of the corporate has allowed us to do many more things with the corporates. We started to do a lot of research with them, joint events and so on. So it's nice. It's a much more commitment, much more work on our side, much work also not purely in teaching the students of the master, but research, corporate activities and so on. So it's much more interesting and much tougher.
Right. Sandeep, you have also spent some time here at SDA Bocconi Asia Center now. What are the kind of things, the shifts that you have seen here, that has interested you, that has made you feel that this particular institute is going to definitely generate global leaders of tomorrow?
Yeah, so, as I said, I've spent 18 months into the system, so it's not that long what Alessandro is talking about. But yes, I come from a corporate side. My role is interacting with the corporate and meeting them and, having meetings with them day in, day out. In 18 months, I've seen a lot of changes for me, when I go and speak to any corporate and they know about SDA Bocconi, that's a big change. So that percentage is day by day, it's becoming smaller. The large percentage of corporates now are aware about SDA Bocconi. That's purely because we have been there in the market for 10 years. We have been promoting in the earlier years. And plus, it's a testimonial of what our students are doing in the market. There is a huge alumni network. Students are working, whether they have got placed through campus or they have made changes in the open market. our students are there in every sector. You talk about students are there, and we see a lot of changes in terms of companies, brands coming to our campus and hiring. And there is a lot of changes in terms of the diversified set of industry representation we are having in our corporate relations. So that's a huge change. And as far as the second part of the question is concerned, what do I see exciting? The most exciting part of SDA Bocconi is the way the students evolve in the 2-year program.
Right.
And as Alessandro rightly said, I have seen 3 batches in the last 18 months. Every batch we are seeing improvement in the quality, be it academic percentages, the test scores, the way the average CTC have grown, the way the corporates, the big names have started coming to the campus. So that's a welcome change. Right. So that's very exciting journey for me. The 18 months have been really exciting, and looking forward to many more years.
Lovely. And these 10 years, they must have created a pool of alumni members also, right? How does that play out in the entire scheme of placements when we talk about it, and also making SDA Bocconi a global B school that it is?
Yeah, as as I mentioned earlier, it makes our task a bit easier. When there are alums working in various companies, various industry, the selling is much more easier in any. As a corporate relations team, we can go and promote the brand, and we can get the companies in for placement. But it's the students, their quality, their work, and how do they perform in the company makes the company come back to the campus again and again. So we are only doing, maybe 30 to 40% of the job. The 60 to 70% of the job is being done by the students. And it's not only in the Indian market, it's in the global market. We have a global, set of large pool of alums who are working in the global market. And we also end up getting some global projects for the student, which also forms a part of the global exposure for the student.
Absolutely. Alessandro, I'll come back to you. An integral part of the curriculum at SDA Bocconi Asia Center is the Milan semester that happens. And along with that, there are world-class professors who also come in and teach at the Indian campus that you have at SDA Bocconi Asia Center. So what do you think, how do you think this entire experience brings students the much needed global business perspective?
As you said, we have a global faculty that comes to Mumbai and the students that go to Milan. In an environment with 16,000 students all in business from 100 plus countries. So the global perspective is for sure there, and taking part in this program really is like being in any other part of the world at a program which is global standard in the top 10 in the world. We worked a lot also in giving this perspective a good landing into the India reality, and that in many different ways. First of all, the faculty really managed, is the same faculty that has been teaching here for the last 10 years.
Right.
So all of them now, they know India very well. They've developed cases on India. They've worked with Indian companies, they've consulted Indian companies, so that helps a lot. Then we work a lot with guest lecturers, all at CXO level, because that's our rule. But those lecturers, we try to coordinate them well with the faculty, so that when they intervene, what they talk is part of the program of the course, but is with a perspective that is fully Indian. So I think we really managed to get both worlds in the best way.
Right, marrying the both worlds so that you get a perspective from both the worlds and make decisions. Right, and once these students are prepared, they go to the companies as we were talking about, and they, carry the flag of the particular institute. Sandeep, I'll come to you. Let's talk about placements. How has the placement been, keeping in mind the COVID season? Also, for 2 years, B school life has been ruptured. A lot of these companies have revoked a lot of offers in the very first year when that happened. Did SDA Bocconi Asia Center feel the burn?
Yes, to a certain extent, yes. When we locked down in March 2020, we had to move from this physical world to the virtual world, and suddenly the entire process had to be shifted. The advantage with us was that our parent campus being in it, one of the first countries to face the brunt of COVID, and our adaptability has been very high. So we were able to implement that in India.
Yeah. Sandeep, can you hear us?
We were able to shift all the summer internships of the. Yeah, I can hear. Is it okay now?
Yeah. Can you repeat what the point was? I think your screen just got frozen. Yeah.
Okay, so shifting from the physical campus placement to a virtual campus placement, yes, it was a challenge when the country locked down in March 2020. But the advantage with us was that our parent campus in Italy were more, well prepared when you compare with the other colleges, because Italy was one of the first countries to be affected by COVID.
Right.
So in India also, we were able to do that smooth transition. It was challenge. We were able to move all the summer internships into a virtual mode, shift into a virtual mode. But this is, we were better prepared. We knew how to run the virtual campus placement process. And at the same time, companies also realize that it's part of life, and they're hiring projections, they're hiring policies, their will not change because of COVID. It looks much better than what it was last year. But we had our share of hiccups.
Right. And how is it now, when we're talking about present day figures and numbers, are you happy with the kind of numbers that you're seeing?
Yes. So, there have been some really positive changes. A lot of good things have happened in the placement till now. We are still under the placement process, but good chunk of students have already been placed. Some of the major factors which we have seen this year is we have already created a kind of a new benchmark in highest salary. We have already, while we have a good representation of all the sectors in the placement process till now, but we have seen a steady and large, growth in all the sectors, especially consulting. We have seen a major chunk of offers coming from consulting. IT sector, a lot of campus placement process like Microsoft, HCL, Virtusa, Cognizant, ZS, EY. So a lot of good things have happened this year. As I say, the horizon looks much brighter this year for placements, and we expect to close the placements on a high this year.
Lovely. Great. On this note, I would like to address this to our audience who's watching this. If you have any questions for both Sandeep and Alessandro, they'll be happy to take it out. We will be taking these questions after, after it's almost 6:30, and we will be taking in all the questions if possible. And so do ask those questions, whatever queries that you have in mind that you want to be solved by these people. Okay, moving on, Alessandro. Let me understand this. You've been running this ship for 10 years now. What were the happy moments, if I have to ask you, that you really look back and see that we have really created value in India when we came to here, this particular company where nobody actually knew what this particular brand is, and then from there, where you're standing right now, what makes you happy?
What always makes me happy and sad is the convocation, I must tell you.
Right.
Because we really live with the students. We live and sweat with each single student. And it makes me happy because you really see how they change. And also,
Right.
convocation comes 3 months after they are back from Milan, which is really the critical moment where they do the big change. And every time I think that when they enter the school and I see them now getting out, and they're almost unrecognizable. And that's for good, for sure. And that's a great moment. For sure, it's always sad to let them go after 2 years that are always so intense and together. Having said that, for sure, it's beautiful every year when we finish the placement, because you see a lot of happy faces and
Right.
students that in the end, yes, they come for learning, but they come also for a good job. And another happy moment is when I started seeing students coming back on campus for their requirements for placement.
Right.
That has been another big shift that I was not prepared for that so soon, but now we have several teams from the employers that are with our students. So that's
Right.
also very nice. That really shows how our students and we grow together.
Right. When we talk about hiring and placement, Sandeep, I want to know this from you. Is there any truly global placement or offers that are made to students at SDA Bocconi Asia Center?
Yeah, so Paul, our students from the Mumbai campus do get an opportunity to be part of the career fair which happens in the Milan campus. Unlike
Right.
India, the B schools in Europe or US, they don't have this placement concept as we have in India. So
Correct.
there are normally career fairs over there where the students participate in those career fairs. So our students also get an opportunity to participate in those career fairs, and some students are able to bag a global opportunity. At the same time, while studying in Milan for the 3.5 months for that trimester, students also get an opportunity to work for some global projects for the companies based out of Milan.
Right.
So that's the part of the global, corporate exposure that the students get both at summer internship level and as well as final placements level.
Absolutely. Alessandro, I'll come back to you with the question that I have. And I think I asked you some months back about this, and I would like you to address this again. A lot of students opt for a B school education abroad. Do you think it is high time that we bring those global standards, bring those global education models back home? And how are you working towards that?
Well, that's our mission since the beginning. So we always thought that there are so many talented Indian students that go abroad every year.
Right.
And most of them, they don't want to stay abroad. They want to come back to India. And actually, India needs this talent, okay, in a moment of great growth. They need this talent. So it's absolutely, I think, a must to take foreign education, top global foreign education at home. This why? First of all, because there is not enough offer in India of high quality higher education. And second, because as you know, in all sectors, when you bring tough, good competitors from outside, even the quality of the domestic one grows a lot. That's what I believe, and that's why we're here. That's why we brought SDA Bocconi here. And I do believe we are hitting the target. We're hitting the target in terms, I see a lot of students that come to us that say, I would have liked to go abroad for education, but I want to also know about India, and I want them to come back and work in India. So this is my only choice, not my best choice. At the same time, I see a lot of B schools that have decided to somehow embrace models that are similar to ours, that have also moved to Mumbai, many of them. So that means that somehow we are hitting the target that we wanted to hit.
Right, absolutely. Sandeep, what is your opinion on this?
Yeah, so yes, what Alessandro has said, as I second it, we have, I have also been part of some of the interview process, admissions interview process.
Right.
And, when we ask students about the options, they say that SDA Bocconi is the only option because while they want to be a part of the global campus, but when they get an opportunity to be in India and be a part of the global campus and get the best of the both worlds, then this is the only option which is available. And yes, we have seen that a lot of campuses are moving in this direction, and probably we have set a benchmark for other campuses in India, how to marry the global, prospect with the Indian roots. So that is something which is being followed by most of the campuses now.
Right. Alessandro, we got a question here from Gopi Krishna. Sorry, it's a question from Wasim. Wasim is asking measures taken for the safety for students for Italy semester, keeping in mind the COVID scenario.
Well, it's the same measures that have been taken by the campus in Milan. So we took the measures from here. We had all the students double vaccinated when they left from Milan in August. And in Milan, they were under the strict rules of Milan campus that has been, despite the waves going on in Europe, has been fully offline in person. And for those students that didn't have the right vaccination, we took care. And the first day that they arrived, they were taken to take their European vaccination, which
Right.
allowed them after 10 days of quarantine to go on campus.
Right. Alessandro, there's one more question, and I see this question to be answered by you better. Virat is asking, can I do an MBA in abroad at minimum cost? So cost again becomes a factor when you are thinking of a MBA abroad. So that brings us to the same point that we were discussing some time back, as to why this bringing the global education to India matters. So anything on that regard that you have in mind?
Well, as you say, doing it in India, it comes out much cheaper, for sure. Doing an MBA abroad cheaper, well, there are prices for everything, but as you know, you get what you pay for. So at the same level of MBA, like ours, doing it in India, for sure, you have 2/3 of the program where living and staying is much, much cheaper than what would be abroad.
Absolutely. Sandeep, there is a question specifically directed to you. Blue Buddha 28 is asking, if I want to be placed in Milan, what skills do I need to acquire and what language do I need to learn?
Yeah, so second part first, if you have fluency and you can speak, read and write Italian, then obviously that helps, because a lot of companies over there want students who can speak the local language. That's one of the requirement in terms of language.
Right.
In terms of skill, it's very similar to what a job in India would require, depending on your aspiration, in which sector, in which functional area you want to build your career. Based on that, you have to acquire the relevant skill. As you know, today's world is a global world. Whether it's a company is in India or whether the company is in Europe, you look at the same set of skill sets.
Right.
So you have to be prepared as per your aspiration. But yes, Italian is something which will give an advantage to you.
Right. In terms of placements, in terms of, you mentioned some time back that, there are live projects that happens there. Is there a history of, your alumni members or students from your institute who have actually gone back and worked there that you know of?
I think Alessandro would be able to answer this question.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So there have been a lot of instances of, first of all, we inserted a second curricular internship, which is not, the first one is compulsory. The second one is not compulsory, but allows the companies in Europe to do zero to very low paperwork for having the student do an internship. That has increased the possibility for the students, and many students have been taking their internships when they are in Milan. That for sure has helped a lot in having them interact with the corporates. And once back, we have had, some have been hired in Milan directly, but even more than that, some have been hired here in India. And after 1 year or so, they've been moved to Italy or other countries where the Italian company is. I can give you a few names like EY, for example, like Vodafone, like we have one student, for example, Willu Sottica, that he did his internship in Milan. Then he was hired here. Then he was sent to Milan after 1 year, then to Moscow for 2 years, then to China for 2 years. So that happens a lot because of their global exposure and preparation. Our students normally within their companies are the first ones that are offered to move abroad after a while. I was speaking, I cannot say the name of the company because it's still confidential, but with the MD of a company yesterday that said it's the first time that we send one student, one Indian student abroad to our main seat in Europe, and it's your student.
Right, lovely.
In fact,
Absolutely.
Just to add one point, Paul,
Sure.
we are right now talking to a IT giant in India, which is planning to hire our students, and they're looking to move our students to Milan because they have operations over there, and the global exposure our student have for 3 months staying in Milan is helping and creating this path for them. So that helps a lot, even for the Indian companies who hire for India market. They look to send our students to Milan camp, their office in Milan.
Great, lovely. Definitely, this calls for one of the USPs that SDA Bocconi Asia Center has. And related to that is one question that is coming from Ruhi Singh, who is asking. Sorry, it's a question from Jay. Jay is asking, how is SDA Bocconi better than other B schools in India? What is your USP?
Well, that's it's not very, I don't know how to say I don't like to reply to these questions, but I can tell you, our faculty, first of all, speaks by itself.
Right.
We are number 4 in the world for custom programs for executives. That means that our faculty is really top in the world, and in most rankings we are at the top. Then the global exposure, as we said, I think is extremely important, and the mix of the classroom in the first year with the global with the double degree from Italy and France, the global faculty and the semester in Milan speak by themselves. Then I think also there is one feature that is unique to our school, is that you can choose the specialization that you want. The whole batch can do that. So it's not just the top 10% that chooses first and then the others. So everybody can do what they want. And that's because the specialization is in Milan, where we are very big. We have 300 electives. Then I would say also for us, the corporate connect is very important. So the way the students are prepared at the end is because they interact constantly with the corporates. As I said, we're number 1 in Europe for research, okay? So we do heavy research and students help us there. And that's done only with the corporates. We do joint events, we do a lot of live projects. So the corporate connect is really intense. And also on the side of the faculty, they are all working faculties for us, so top executives and so on. To give you an example, I remember some 3-4 years back, a class of investment banking, the faculty did one full day on the evaluation of Ferrari. The day before, Ferrari went for IPO in New York, and he was the one who did the IPO. So it was really a real game done real time with a real IPO with a big brand like Ferrari.
Right. Absolutely. Niharika has asked this question. It's a very interesting question, in my opinion, because Niharika is asking, how does the accreditation of a B school factor into the job, getting a job in a global market? Do you think that, global market or the companies which operate in bigger scales globally, they look for accreditations in B schools? Anybody who wants to take this question? Go ahead.
Yeah, Alessandro, please.
Yeah, I think it's totally useless in that sense. The accreditation is very important in the way that the B school operates. That is extremely important because the accreditations take care of a lot of aspects that are extremely important in a business school, from research to the level of the faculty, the publications, and so on. Having said that, I think it's a good hint to explain one thing, okay, because that's one question that we always get about AICTE.
Right.
Okay, AICTE is not an accreditation, okay, it's a purview, and we are not under the purview because what we deliver is a master diploma from Europe.
Right.
So we don't deliver an Indian degree, we deliver a master diploma of the European university system, and SDA Bocconi is one of the 1%, 140 business schools in the world that has the Triple Crown accreditation, so the top 3 international accreditations.
Right. Sandeep, you want to add anything on this?
Yeah, so as Alessandro rightly said, AICTE is just it's a purview, campuses are under the purview of AICTE, but I'll talk more from the corporate point of view. Why talking about the global corporates? You look at the Indian corporates, they are more bothered about the accreditations like AA, ASB and IQUIS and AMBA. These are the accreditations which gives them the confidence of hiring students from our campus. And trust me, till now, none of the companies have come back and asked to me that whether we are AICTE approved or not. But yes, these 3 Triple Crown accreditation does make a difference. That speaks volume about the processes, the research, the publication, the way we teach. These are the kind of confidence we are able to give to the corporates, both in India and in the globe.
Right. Ayo Harshal is asking Sandeep a very specific question. He asks that for different, set of roles that you're getting into, for example, if you're getting into a different sector, if you're getting into marketing, HR, IT, consulting, is there different sort of a preparation that is associated with it? And if yes, how do you go about that?
See, the preparation can be broadly divided into 2 categories. The first is the soft skills, which is common for across functions, across industry. So the soft skills, the cognitive skills is something which we train each and every student, and we expect the students to be prepared on the soft skills, irrespective of their functional choice or the industry choice. Now, the other part is the technical or functional knowledge. That is basically defined whether you want to build a career in HR, finance, marketing. So a marketing student would require a different skill set when it's technical or functional skill sets. HR will require a different one. Finance will require a different one. So what we do is that we engage. We have we have a set of alums, the corporate leaders with whom we engage to train students on those technical skills. Plus, we also have ties with external agency who specialize in training students on various functional skills. So we basically, based on the aspiration of the students, we club them into various buckets, and then we look at giving them the proper technical and functional skills.
Right, absolutely. There is one question that has come in which says, I've done my MBA in 2008 and presently working in reputed fintech company in mid-level management. How a global B school program can help me grow in my career? Do you recommend a global B school MBA program for this individual?
Yeah, so I'm not aware where he or she has done MBA from, so I won't be able to say anything about that. But yes, as we have been speaking in this session for the last more than half an hour, a global exposure will make a difference because companies look at hiring talents which can work beyond the boundaries. Even sitting in India today, people are expected to work across time zones.
Right.
When they get to hire students who have the global exposure while doing their 2-year program, both in India and in Europe, and being taught by global faculty, some of them already having exposure in working in a global environment through projects and internships, they always stand out because, most of the corporates, the multinationals who come and hire in the campus, they have operations all across the globe. So somebody who is adept and equipped to work in across time zones will always stand out when you compare with somebody not having that kind of exposure. So yes, it will surely make a difference if you do a global MBA.
Right. Alessandro, Saurav is asking a question. He says that what are the major differences in top B schools of India versus B schools of abroad? When we are looking at, studying abroad, getting the information and knowledge from people who are experienced in a certain milieu, in a certain geographical setting, versus the setting that you are, you were born in and you understand better. What is the major difference between these two?
Well, for sure, in India, B school understand better India, which is a very different environment, and faculty are used to that. Generally speaking, abroad faculty have taught more across the globe. We're talking about top business schools, so they're used to teaching across the globe, so they have a more global experience and perspective that nowadays helps a lot. Having said that, there are amazing top faculties in India with which I'm very good friends also, that that are, it always depends on the faculty that teaches you in the end.
Right.
And while for our school, I can tell you all the faculty abide to certain rules, strict rules, so they're all top faculties. In some other schools, maybe you have a few stars, and others with less global perspective.
Right, absolutely. There's one question that has come in, and I'm sure a lot of these students, they want to know about this. It's what exactly are you guys looking for in a candidate? What if the current affairs are not that strong, but they have other strong areas? This is a question that is coming from Aman Maheshwari. Yeah.
We like to say that we were the first to do so, and now everybody says that, but we really are a profile-based school.
Right.
So for us, is the whole profile that is important. Having said so, as you well know, soft skills for us are very important.
Absolutely.
Once you get to the top 10, 20% in India, you're sure that hard skills are good, okay? Because Indian minds are very strong in hard skills. And so the top 20, they're all outstanding. The difference is made in the soft skills. And nowadays, these soft skills are very important because the world is changing extremely fast, India much more. So you have to be able to play outside the models. So if you just play by the models, you might be very strong at crunching numbers and models and things, but models don't work anymore. Sectors don't exist anymore from one year to the others.
Right.
So you have to be able to adapt, to capture what the market is telling you, to work in team, multidisciplinary teams, and so on. So what we look for is students that have done a lot of extracurricular activities, which is what normally boosts the soft skills. So for us, the interview is extremely important to understand how the student thinks, and if she has already strong soft skills, or if we see that these soft skills can be boosted in those 2 years. Because what I always say, all Indians have soft skills embedded. There's no more diverse society than India. So when you grow up in India, you know how to work your way around. The only thing is that in education, most of the education is focused on hard skills. So unless you do extracurricular activities that open up your mind, you are too strict. So that's what we look for. Outstanding academic students, but also with a lot of extracurricular activities and soft skills.
Absolutely. Any story that has stayed with you, Alessandro, while you were making the selection and while you were meeting these students, prospective students who were coming in and pitching their own stories, anything that stuck a chord with you that you still remember and think that, oh my God, this was the best answer that I've heard?
Not in terms of specific answer. I can tell you a story from a few years ago, where talking about soft skills, there were 3 students that wouldn't make the cut because of their hard skills, their grades or something like that. But in the interview, or at least they were borderline. If they don't make the cut, they don't come to the interview, but they were borderline. But in the interview, they were really good. And I had to force the admission on the committee because I knew their soft skills were outstanding. And they put it on me. And I said, okay. And at the end of the 2 years, these 3 students were in the top 5
Wow.
Highest salaries, and among the top 5, first 5 to be hired by the companies. So that tells you how the selection is important. You cannot just go by grades and entrance tests,
Right.
because you leave out the best talent.
Absolutely. And is there a cutoff for, that you have in mind? Say, for example, this is the cutoff. You mentioned some time back that it was a borderline kind of score. Is the cutoff also increasing every passing year that you were mentioning in the beginning of the conversation, that, you're putting strict measures, or it's still the profile-based evaluation of the profiles that you do?
It's still profile-based, absolutely. And we do not have a clear cutoff. For sure, our view is looking further up in the last few years than before, but still we don't have a cutoff. And still, if we see a low entrance test, but a CV that is full of interesting activities, we ask them to take our Bocconi test to see if the test was okay or not. But we don't reject the students based on the tests.
Right. All right. At this point, I would like to remind the audiences that we'll take a few more questions. We have the bandwidth for that. So do ask your questions if you want to know anything specific from these 2 guys who are sitting here giving answers to your questions. Sandeep, I'll move to you. Any specific requests that came your way from any of the students in the last 18 months that you have been here, which you thought that, I really have to work hard for this particular student to get this particular company on board because of the intent, because of the liking of that particular student for that companies there?
Yeah, so, we had one of the questions when students, one of the student wanted to know, prospective student wanted to know what is the USP of the campus.
Right.
But I want to just add one thing, and which will probably answer to this question. The diversity of our batch, SDA Bocconi is, I have worked with a few B schools in India. Some of them are so-called top ones in India. And, the diversity which you find in SDA Bocconi is not there in any of the B school, be in terms of their graduation course, be the gender diversity, be the kind of functional and industry exposure the students bring on table, the state representation. So there is a huge peer-to-peer learning which happens in the campus. Now, this also leads to unique aspirations of the students. While, we have certain set of students who fall into, the regular recruiters which come to the campus and they hire from each and every top B school in India. But we often get the wish list or the aspiration of the students, which is slightly unique. So we not only work on the regular structured B school hiring model where companies come and hire students in bulk or 4, 5, 6 of them, but we also cater to the individual aspiration of the student, specific to their profile, the specializations which they have done. And then we go and approach that kind of company. So it becomes a slightly different approach altogether, not a regular one, what you find in campus placement. But yes, we do get, purely because we have students coming from diverse background. And it's unlike other B schools. We have certain sectors which come and hire. For example, luxury. We have a lot of students aspiring to get into the luxury sector.
Right.
So within luxury sector, within marketing, they want some specific roles, specific companies. We do help students in meeting those aspirations.
Right. And in terms of placement, if I really have to ask you, how does the future look from here? If somebody is actually going through a program from your B school or any global B school per se, what do you see the job markets to behave like in the coming year, and how hopeful they should be of that?
The job market has been responding positively. The testimonial to the fact is that we last 2 years the entire the global market or the Indian market has been coping up with the COVID scenario. But I have seen the companies have not lost their steam in hiring fresh graduates from the campus,
right,
or hiring management trainees. So the market is quite positive. The economy, is doing well across the globe, and in India also. We are currently, right now, we are moving in the right direction. And the testimony to the fact is that for the last 3-4 years, we have been seeing increase in the average package. The top recruiters have been coming to the campus. The very diversified set of industry representation is there in placements. So at least in the next 10 years or so, I don't see any issue coming up in terms of how the market is going to react. And MBA is something, if you have done it from a good B school, a B school like SDA Bocconi, where you get a global exposure, you'll always be in demand, be it your first job or be it your second, third, fourth job.
Lovely. Alessandro, you want to add on to this?
I can only second what Sandeep said, and very humbly, he hasn't mentioned that this year the placement is going extremely well, with a big leap, not only in the average package so far, but in the number of companies that are coming to hire on campus. For sure, after 2 years that globally speaking have not been easy, I think there is a big bounce back, and still now there is a sort of wave coming in, but companies are ready to grow and are ready to hire. They've actually fired a lot of people in the past. So I think that because of these two reasons, the next few years will be very good for placements.
Lovely. Any last piece of advice before we, end this session today? Both you, Sandeep, and Alessandro, students who are confused about their B school choices, about whether to do an MBA right now, or whether they are able to choose their right program or the preferred program that they want to go to, what would be your parting advice to them?
I think now is the right time for an MBA because of the reasons I was telling you. The market is ready to bounce back, and so by the end of the program of someone enrolling now, which is 2 years from now, the market should be really good. And also the market has changed a lot, and luckily enough, as I've told you, we are #1 in Europe for research, which means that we also adapt our curricula every year in order to be always updated to the next tendencies. And everything has changed a lot, and it's not only about digitization, but a lot of things have changed. So you need a lot of upskilling, of reskilling, and being the first to have that kind of skills will benefit you a lot when the market bounces back. So now is the time, I think. Which B school? That's a very good question. Okay. So in our case, I suggest always the students to speak well to our admission team. They're very good at counseling and at understanding if they are the right candidates for us, and likewise if we are the right school for them. Because we are, I think, a very good schools for soft skills and so on, but it's a very tough program also on the soft side, which is the extracurricular activities that Sandeep manages, but also the soft curricular subjects like marketing, strategy, HR, where I see a lot of very strong, hard-skilled students having a hard time sometimes, being very strong in finance and all these things, but then having a hard time there. So, but for sure, it's a very good challenge also for those, and it's those students that actually sometimes benefit the most. So that's why I always suggest a good chat with our admission team.
Lovely. Sandeep, last words.
Yeah, only two things to add to what Alessandro said. If you are looking to do MBA, this is probably the right time, because this is the time when the market is bouncing back and things are going to improve from here at this point onwards. Which B school to choose? You need to choose the B school which is more industry relevant, more adaptable to do the changes in the curriculum which is relevant to the industry. That's the B school you need to go for, and you need to understand which B school fits into your aspiration. And the only thing which the students need to understand that agility is the key word right now. You need to, as Alessandro said, you need to upskill, reskill, and you need to learn. Your learning curve should always be high. And when companies come and hire talent from the campus, they look for people who can create something. So people with a lot of creativity, innovation, and they have the ability to do something out of the blue, something new, and the learning curve is very high. The attitude is right to learn things. They are always welcomed by corporates across the industry. So these are the things which the prospective student should keep in mind while thinking of doing an MBA.
Lovely. Thank you very much, both Sandeep and Alessandro, for taking out time and doing this session. I'm sure a lot of these students who were watching this would have found their way, would have solved certain queries that they have had for sure in making that decision, and they would have definitely gotten a gist of how a global B school can be the right fit for them. If you want to know more about SDA Bocconi Asia Center, there's a link that is there in the description. My team is also putting that on the chat box. You can click on that and check about the programs and the faculties and the kind of life that you're going to have at that particular B school. Thank you again, gentlemen, and have a very good night.
Thank you, Paul. It was wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you, Paul, as usual. And bye. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Bye.